We're starting. Can everybody hear me? It sounds very loud to me. Okay, so I guess we're going to close the doors. Welcome to this session on using SketchUp to explore interior design options. How many interior designers do we have? Oh, wow, less than I thought for an interior design presentation. My name is Roskes. I've been around the SketchUp world since about 2001. So I'm sort of dating myself, since SketchUp 2 was the version. I've written a whole bunch of books, including a hands-on series that I update every year, except for this year. I didn't have time to do it this year. But one of the books that I wrote that's most relevant to this presentation is Modeling with SketchUp for Interior Design, which is a college-level textbook that's being used in several programs around the country. My co-author for this book is an interior designer named Annie Elliott. She was in Washington, D.C., where I also live. So she got together with me on this book. She was sort of the brains and I was the brawn, or maybe it's vice versa. She was the one that knew how to make rooms look pretty, and I was the one who knew how to do it in SketchUp. But I'm not an interior designer. And if you would come to my house, you would know that I'm not an interior designer. So these days I'm sort of doing less of the writing stuff and more of one-on-one training in small groups, documenting specific workflows for specific industries. But in addition to that, I also keep busy doing a lot of contract modeling work. So I do a lot of work with interior designers, including Annie's company, Color. I do a lot of modeling work for entertainment planning and event planning. So a little bit of my background. In this presentation, I wanted to show two design scenario options. The first was if you want to present more than one arrangement for furniture and accessories in a room. And the second scenario would be to show more than one option for finishes, in other words, color, texture, or material. But before doing that, I wanted to sort of describe a little bit about my workflow in interior design. So the techniques that I'm going to describe rely very heavily on scenes and layers. And this is, I believe, an intermediate level presentation. But are there people in here who don't work with scenes and layers or aren't so familiar with them? So everyone here is a scenes and layers expert? No? Oh, okay. No one raised their hand. Just a quick overview of what scenes and layers are. I'll turn off this animation. So this is one of the projects that I did for Annie and her company, Color. The scenes are represented by these tabs across the top. So I can click on the floor plan scene. This is a 2D orthographic view of what the room will look like. This is all for client presentation. I have a scene in here called Work, which is very similar, but it's slightly different. I'll explain why I use that later. And then here I have 4 corner views. So this is looking into the northwest corner, looking into the northeast corner. So basically, in this case, scenes are saved views that I want to show to the client. Layers are a bit different. My layers list is over here. And what layers are used for in SketchUp is to control what is displayed in the display window. So I have the same 4 layers I use for all of my interior design jobs. I have O1 CAD, O2 room, O3 ceiling, O4 pieces. The reason that I keep them numbered is because they're listed alphabetically and it makes it easier for me to find them. With just 4 layers, it's not a big deal. When you get into 20 layers, then it's much easier when they're numbered. What goes on each of these layers, and I can turn on and off layers to control what's displayed. So on the CAD layer, I usually start with some kind of 2D sketch or schematic of the room that's given to me by Annie or whoever I'm working for. From that, I do the room. This is what goes on the room layer. It's the walls and floors and windows and doors and things like that. I have a separate layer for the ceiling to turn the ceiling on and off, and I'll explain why I do that a bit later. And the last layer is pieces. And pieces is kind of a catch-all for anything that's not nailed down to the room. So it's things like furniture, rugs, window treatments, accessories, bookcases, things like that. This is what the interior designer does, is deciding what goes in and where things go. So the pieces layer is sort of the big important layer. And you've probably heard this in other talks since you've been here, but everything in your SketchUp model before you're done should be either a group or a component. I assume you guys are you know what groups and components are, why you use them. You don't want to lose geometry in your model ever. It just makes things kind of messy at the end. When you have groups of components, it makes things much easier to manipulate, to move, to copy, editing, things like that. So for this particular client, Glossy Color, what I start with are two different things. They give me a PDF and a Pinterest page. So the PDF that I get, the first page has this 2D sort of schematic. It's sometimes in different formats. This is electronic, sometimes it's literally hand-drawn, and I have to scan it in. It marks all the dimensions of the walls. It's got cutouts for windows and doors. And in addition to that, she also has marked where she wants the furniture to go. So this is a little schematic for the chairs, this is coffee table, couch, lamps, things like that. The placement is never really exact. This is just for me to get a sense of sort of where she wants things. And then I use this when I bring it into SketchUp to sort of, I put my chairs where it says chair and my coffee table where it says coffee table. But it's not, there's flexibility with this. I take a screen capture of this because I can't import a PDF into SketchUp, but I can import a screen capture. Second PDF that I get has the furniture key. So all of those things in the 2D sketch that were labeled, they're identified here in terms of what they are, where they belong, and the dimensions that they are. So the other thing that they give me is a Pinterest page for every client. Every piece is listed on Pinterest with a picture. Links to the website where I can find the manufacturer information about that item, information about finishes and textures and colors, dimensions, things like that. So if it's something that comes with more than one color, she'll say, I want color whatever, or texture whatever, so I have all the information that I need. So that's basically all I get from her. And then I always start with a SketchUp model that looks like this but has nothing in it. It's basically the template I use for interior design. It's a completely empty model, no extra people in there, no extra colors, but with these 4 layers already in there. They're built in, they're just ready to go, they're empty until I start filling them. Oh, sorry, okay. So the first step, like I said, is bringing in that 2D CAD or schematic sketch, whatever I've been given. Like I said, I save it as a screen capture. So, I'll go back to my work scene, and I'll turn off everything except for the CAD layer. So what this is basically an imported screen capture. To bring that in, and I'm probably going to kind of fast because it's just an hour, I just want to give you an overview, and I imagine there'll be questions, and I think we're going to save those till the end. To bring in a screen capture, I use File, Import, and I browse to find where I saved it. I bring it in as an image, as opposed to a texture. When you bring it in as an image, it's just something that's going to sit by itself. It's not used to paint something. When you bring in something into SketchUp as an image is not particularly useful. You can't really do much with it except build on it. But because when I import it, I don't bring it in at the exact right scale, I want to change this into something that I can edit. So I explode the image, and then I make it into a group. And right now, this is a group. And if I look in my entity info window, I can see that it's a group. The reason to make it into a group, well, everything should be a group besides that, but I can also set the scale of it pretty easily. So I can edit the group, and then I can use my tape measure tool, which does a lot of things, but in this instance I want to use it for scaling. I find the biggest dimension that's listed there, in this case is 307.5, and I just click from the beginning of the dimension to the end of the dimension. SketchUp tells me what it's measuring. I tell it what it should be, in this case 307.5, which appears down in the length field. I press enter and it asks me, do you want to resize the active group or component? In this case I'm going to say no because I've already done it for this particular model, but when I'm working obviously I would say yes. The reason to do this within the confines of a group or a component is because if I do the scaling while the group is closed, it's going to resize everything in the model. So in the case when I'm just starting out and there is nothing else in the model, it doesn't really matter. But if I did happen to have a chair or a couch or something and I resized everything, it could really mess everything else up. So I've come to learn that it's just really good practice to keep everything grouped or as a component before you resize something. So that's how I set the scale of this. I'm going to click no and close the group. And once that's done, I can use the entity info window to start placing things on their own layer. So this is a group, as I can tell here, and entity info is where I can choose the layer where I want this to go. So I can choose to put this on CAD, room, pieces, etc. And as you're modeling, and you probably heard this as well in other talks, you'll notice if you use layers, you'll notice that you can use these radio buttons to make other layers active, but basically there's never any reason to do that. Layer 0 should always be active. I kind of think that they should take these radio buttons away, but I guess some people still want them. The reason is, if you have another layer active, like if my room layer is active and I forgot to turn it off or make another layer active, and I start designing something that's not the room, it's going to be on the wrong layer, I'm not going to be able to place things where they go, it's going to be a mess, finding things is really complicated. As long as layer 0 is active, and everything you model or import or build or anything is on layer 0, you do your work in layer 0, apply your materials, your textures, make everything a group and component, and then move it to another layer. Which is what I did for modeling the room, which I'll show. Okay, so I got my CAD import, and from there, I can use all of these edges here to trace around the room to mark where I want windows and doors. If there's any bump outs like for a fireplace or built-ins or shelves or something like that, I include that. The room group has anything that's not going to move, anything that's set in stone. So in that case, it includes this fireplace, some windows and doors. I usually just throw in some generic windows unless it's a historic project where you need to know exactly what the windows look like. This entire room is a group. Again, there's lots of reasons to do that. It makes it easier to show and hide things when they're a group, makes it easier to copy, to rotate, to move, things like that. And again, I can tell that it's a group, and this is where I placed it on its own layer, this O2 room layer. Okay, the ceiling, same thing. So I've made, the ceiling is just basically a little shallow box that covers the room. And you might wonder why is that not part of the room? I'll explain later, but basically it has to do with the fact that having the ceiling on and displayed makes it really hard to go in and make changes later. So I think it's really convenient to have a ceiling that I can turn on and off. And then modeling the pieces. This is what takes the longest. If anyone here does interior design, they know how long this can take. Here are all the pieces that I had to do for this model. Some things are already in the 3D warehouse, which is great. Some things are in the warehouse, but not exact, so you have to make some changes here and there. A lot of these things I had to model from scratch. And doing that generally involves taking whatever images I get from Pinterest or from websites, making some kind of generic box here in blank space, applying photos either with match photo or photo texturing or photo positioning, sorry. Again, layer 0 is always active. Every piece I model, I make sure I apply the correct materials, everything is the correct size, I make subgroups and subcomponents if needed. Everything is made into a group or component. So for example, this chair is repeated over here, so I made it a component, whereas this rug here only appears once, so it's a group. Everything is a group, and every single thing on here goes on this O4 pieces layer. Makes it very easy to show and hide everything all at once. Okay. So my workflow for creating scenes, and these are just the scenes that I presented originally before they decided on what changes they want to make to the client. The reason I have this work layer active is because this is the layer that this is the scene that I like to use when I start building my other scenes. So my floor plan layer is here, everyone likes to start with that, everyone likes to see that. But this is in parallel projection. Camera parallel projection is an orthographic view. This is not so useful for building scenes from, because when you start moving around, you get that weird kind of distorted look. So I take my floor plan scene, and then I simply switch to perspective view, which is the more realistic view, and then I save a new scene, and I call that scene work. And saving a scene here is all you do is you click this little plus icon here and give it a name. So for my work scene, the work scene isn't something that I use to present to anyone, it's just the scene that I use for building everything else. So for example, if I want to build the northwest corner scene, I start in my work scene, and then I go to the position camera tool, And then I'll start, sorry, just a sec. I'll place my camera here and look toward the northwest corner. And then I have to adjust my eye height so that I'm not like an ant looking up from the ground. And then I look around and I get to sort of the view that I want to see. And only at this point do I turn on the ceiling. So you can see the difference. This is without the ceiling, this is with the ceiling. When I save this view as a scene, the client is going to want to see the ceiling. For a few reasons. There might be a chandelier, there might be light fixtures, it's more realistic. But also when I create a rendering, if I don't have the ceiling there, and I'm rendering, usually I use Podium, it's a plug for Podium, I love it. If there's no ceiling, then the ambient light is just going to come in and fill the whole room. So the shadows aren't going to be accurate, the reflections aren't going to be accurate. So that's why I keep the ceiling layer on for this. But then when I go back to do my subsequent scenes, I go back to the work scene, and then do my position cameras from the other four corners, turn on the ceiling, turn on shadows if I want shadows on, and then save each scene with the ceiling on. Okay, so that's sort of the workflow and how I set up the models, speed it up, 100 times. So by the fun stuff, I mean what happens when the client says, I'm not so crazy about how you did that, and I don't like this, so what can we do to change it? So this is where I have my two design scenarios. So the first one I'm going to show is how to show different furniture arrangements using the same model. So again, I'm going to start in my work scene. And I'm going to hide every layer except for pieces. Pieces in this case contains the stuff that I want to change around. So I select everything in the pieces layer, and I'm going to copy it all to make a second set of everything. So I'm just going to copy it off to the right, and I want to use an exact copy distance because I'm going to want to move it all back later. So I'm going to say something like 20 feet, something that's easy to remember. So now in my copied set of pieces, I can see that everything is still on the correct layer, this 04 pieces layer. But I want to have another layer to show this is for option 1, I want a new layer for option 2. So in my layers window, I'll click this plus icon, and in addition to 04 pieces, I want to have a layer called 04, pieces 2. So now I'm going to reselect everything in the original room and use the entity info window to put everything on the second layer. So now I can switch these on and off. Here's my original, and here's my new one. I'll turn them back on for now. Okay, so all my original pieces are now on option 2. So this is kind of where I think it sort of gets fun. This is where, in option 2, this is where I want to make all the changes that the client wants to see. So again, I'm going to go back to my work scene. The reason to do that is just because it turns everything else back on. I've got my floors back, I've got my walls back, my windows. And now I can start implementing the changes that the client asked for. So they wanted to get rid of this coffee table, which I kind of agreed with them. The one they wanted, I happen to have here in my components window. If I go to the in-model collection, it's at the end, it's West Elm. It's this coffee table here. So I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to spin it around to face the right way. The problem with this is not a problem, it's easy to fix. If you're not well organized, you can really lose track of where you are with the layer structure. This comes in on layer 0, which is correct. Layer 0 is active. But where I want this to be is not layer 0. I want it to be on my option 2 layer. So anything new I bring in, as opposed to things I'm just moving around, anything new I bring in, I have to make sure it's placed on the right layer. And then what they wanted to see was, how about we don't have the furniture like this? Why don't we have it? I'm just going to do a quick and dirty rearranging of this room. So they wanted the couch to go instead of that way. They wanted to go against this wall. And if I were doing this, in real life, I would obviously be much more exact about this. I'd use mirror plugins. I would just be more correct about it. They wanted the chairs facing each other. Move back a little bit. I had another one of these over here. And these little navy tables off to the side. I brought those back in and pulled on the other side. So this is the second option that they wanted to look at. Here's the first option that they wanted to look at. What the client wants to be able to do to make it easier for them to really figure out which option they want is to see both at the same time, to be able to switch back and forth between 1 and 2. So the way I do that is I take the original things from option 1. Now I move them back by that known distance of 20 feet, which is why I used it in the first place. So now what I have is a big, huge mess. I have chairs on top of chairs and tables on top of tables. Things like this, here and here, that weren't changed at all. I just have things right on top of the other. Which is another reason to use groups and components. If anything in here were consisted of loose geometry, I would not be able to put one thing exactly on top of another. SketchUp wouldn't let me do it. But if things are sort of protected inside a group or a component, you can have them occupying the same physical space, which is yet another reason to use groups and components. Okay, so now I can go scene by scene and create extra scenes so that the client can switch back and forth. So I'll start with this first scene in the northwest corner, and it's a little hard to tell in this view because this lamp is blocking it, but both option 1 and option 2 are displayed, which is why it's kind of messy, and I can see that here. These 2 layers are both showing. But if I turn off option 2, then I'm back at my original design. I can right-click on the scene tab and update it. It's going to generate a thumbnail. Then to create my new scene to show option 2, I'll turn this one off, turn this one on, and then I'll right-click on the scene and choose Add. So what that's done is the same thing as clicking on this plus sign. It adds a new scene, which is the same as the scene before, just with a different furniture option. Gives it a generic name of scene 12. I'm going to rename it Northwest 2. So now if the client is looking in this view, they can just click between scene tabs to see what the 2 different scenarios will look like. So then I have to go through and do it with all the other scenes as well. So here's my northeast corner. You can see there's a million chairs. I can turn off option 2 and update it. And then switch between option 1 and option 2. And then add a new scene. And then I should be careful to rename the scene from the generic. Name it Northeast 2. So it seems a little arduous to have to go through each scene and do it, but it really is pretty quick once you are in a groove and you understand your workflow and you're organized and you have your correct layers. It really goes pretty quickly. And here is the final version of this model where I've done it with every scene. So here's my southwest corner, southwest with option 2, and here's my north view, and then switch to option 2. So it's a really way for the client to be able to see a million different views, make their decision. Probably they end up liking either option and you have to redo a whole bunch of stuff anyway. And then you have 3 scenes for every scene. So that was scenario 1. And scenario 2 is very similar. It's to show how to present different finishes. So the example that I'm going to show has dark blue walls, and the client wanted to see something that was a little bit different than just, something so dark and kind of ominous looking. But you could use the same technique to apply it to, say, you're a kitchen designer and you want to show 2 different countertops or 2 different types of cabinets or cabinet finishes or tiles for a bathroom or flooring. Same technique. So the model that I'm going to use to show this scenario is this model here. Again, I've got my 4 corner scenes, and I've got my 4 standard layers, CAD, room, ceiling, and pieces. And in this case, the client was pretty okay with all the furniture and the placement and things like that. But like I said, what I think they didn't love was this dark blue. And they wanted to see what it would look like with something a little more textured, a wallpaper, maybe something a little bit lighter. So, row 1. So I'm going to go back to my work scene. And whereas before I copied all of the pieces out 20 feet and made changes to the pieces, I don't want to do that this time. Instead, I want to copy the room. The room itself is what I'm going to change because the materials apply to the walls of the room. So I selected my room, which is again a group, And I'm going to copy it again in the same horizontal direction, again by a known distance of 20 feet. I want to add a new layer, so in addition to O2 room, I could change this to O2 room, change the name to paint, and then add another one for O2 room wallpaper. And again, they're alphabetical, so the O2s are together, which makes it very convenient. I'm going to keep this one in the original layer, which was O2 room with paint, and I'm going to put this one in the layer, which is O2 room with wallpaper. I keep going back to my notes. And now I go back to my work layer, work scene, which brings back the room itself, so that when I'm editing and applying the wallpaper to this room, I can do it while everything else is showing. It's nicer to, it's easier, it's nicer to do that with things showing than just in a blank room. It gives you more context. So in this case, instead of applying solid color, I'm applying a material. And the material they wanted, wallpaper they wanted, was something like this. I don't know how well it shows up on these screens. It's dark, so it doesn't even show up that well here. It's sort of this moire dark blue wallpaper. And the repeating pattern, according to the manufacturer website, is every horizontal repetition is 20.5 inches. And I believe with this particular graphic, I had it edited. I could pop it down so that it would tile seamlessly. A lot of times you get things from manufacturer websites that when they tile, you see all sorts of seam lines, so that's a whole other topic in itself. This one was pretty easy though. So here's the graphic I'm going to bring in as the wallpaper. It's saved here as a JPEG. So I can't do any changes to the walls of this room until I edit the group. So I'll right click and choose Edit Group. And because I know that the repeating pattern is every 20.5 inches, what I can do is add a little dummy line in there to set that dimension. So I'm just going to start anywhere, and I'm going to type 20.5 to make this line, which, can you see that? It's kind of hard to see. It's there, it's selected. So that's a 20.5 inch line to set the scale for the wallpaper. Then I choose File, Import. Here's the pattern, which I saved as a JPEG. This time I want to bring it in as a texture. You use texture import when you want to paint a wall. It will tile to fill the wall. Choose Import, and then I use the endpoints of this dummy line so that I can set the exact right size of this wallpaper. So now you know that the repeating pattern will be every 20.5 inches. For this particular example, they did want something that was this color, but it doesn't show very well in a presentation like this. They have dark blue and then something else that's dark blue. So I just want to edit this material a little bit just to make it a little bit lighter so that it's easier to see when we compare. So I'll go to my materials window and click the house icon to get all of my in-model materials. I can pick up this material by clicking my eyedropper. So this loads up this particular pattern in here. I'll click the Edit tab and I'll just make it a little bit lighter. So this is not the color they would go with, but this is just for display purposes. This color is already active. This material, I should say, is already active. So to apply it to the rest of the walls, I could click one by one, or I could click any of these dark blue walls with my Shift key pressed, which paints all of them all at once. So now I have wallpaper throughout this room. And I can close the group. So now I've got my option 1, which is solid blue paint, option 2, which is wallpaper. And if you've been paying attention, you probably know what comes next. All I have to do is move option 1 back 20 feet to where it was before. So now I have room on top of room, one with paint, one with wallpaper. Again, this could only be done because they're groups. You couldn't have loose geometry sitting in the same spot. And now I can go scene by scene and do the same thing I did before. So here's my northwest scene. Those are my materials. Both room paint and room wallpaper are showing in this scene. You can't really tell because one is exactly on top of the other, but they are both there. So for this scene, I'll uncheck this thing stops. I'll uncheck wallpaper, update the scene. And then I'll switch between, I'll turn on wallpaper, turn off paint, and create a new scene. I'll choose add. And then I have to give the scene a name, such as Northwest Wallpaper. So the client can go to any corner and see what it's going to look like. Same thing for all the other corners. In this one, I turn off wallpaper, update, turn on wallpaper, and add. And again, you just have to be careful to not choose update when you want to choose add. I've done that a bunch, and it kind of creates a mess. So that's basically it, creating the way to create two different scenes to show the same thing. If we do have time, so I want to show one more thing. Often we would get asked by a client, well, how does it look from this angle, or how does it look from that angle, from a view that I had not saved as a scene? And this is when the client is actually sitting with you, and you don't really have time to sit there and, save a whole bunch of scenes that they're asking for. So what I can do in this case is create a scene that I like to call an any view scene. So again, I'm starting my work scene. I'm choosing to show this first scene only with paint, so I'm turning off wallpaper. Then before creating this scene, what I want to do is, in the scenes window, turn off camera location. So what this means is it'll save everything in the scene except the angle that I'm looking at. So if I go into a view like this and save this scene, it's not necessarily going to save this camera view. If I happen to be in it, it'll stay in it, but if I leave this view, it won't come back to it. So camera location is off. I'll right click on work and add a new scene. And I'll call this any view. And then again, I'll make a second scene that shows the wallpaper instead of the solid color. And then I'll make a new scene. Camera location is still off. It's off until I turn it back on. I'll add a new scene and call it any view wallpaper. And now, if you're sitting with the client and they want to know, well, how does this wallpaper work with this painting, you can go to any view and click any view, and it'll show you both of them. And it's going to work from anywhere. They can look at this window treatment, see how it looks from this corner as well. And that is pretty much all I had to show of it, faster than I expected. So, if there are any questions?
So, one of the things that I run into a lot is I'll make a decision to copy it through, make the changes that you mentioned, and then I realize it's something that I thought was set in stone,
Well, yeah, of course.
Is that just because I'm not at the point that I should be inside what's set in stone, or do you find that?
By set in stone, you mean like, set in stone for me means the actual room itself. Walls aren't going to move and things like that.
Sure. But let's say we had window shutters that you included, and then they were found that, but now you have 3 copies of this room for the different reasons. Do you have any techniques for managing that, or does that not happen?
That particular thing hasn't really happened in the jobs that I've done, but I guess what I would do is, you could have a separate layer for blinds or for whatever it is if you want to change, or that could just be part of your pieces layer instead of your room group layer. So, not set in stone, yeah. Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Right. You could do copies of the file, but it seems like that would be a lot more complicated to manage. Adding scenes itself doesn't really increase your file size. What increases your file size is making 1 million copies of objects, of the model, right? If it's a component, that's not going to increase too much because the component, it always references the same component. But like for this, this isn't a great example because this isn't a very complex couch. But if you had a couch that had all sorts of curves and pillows and complex organic shapes, and it's a group, and you're making a million copies of that group, that will increase your file size a lot. I haven't run into that so much with interior design because things are pretty simple, but yeah, they're good. Well, the 3D warehouse has a million collections. You can look for seamless tile collections, flooring. I generally use manufacturer websites because that's the project I'm given. They're saying we're using whatever, Armstrong flooring model number, whatever. So I have to get that. So I'm not the one who generally is picking the finishes, so. Oh, scaling. You mean bringing in the CAD? It's fine. I don't think I have that graphic on my laptop, but basically what you do is you go to File, Import, and here, why don't I try, let me do it this way. Let me go back to that other. Do other people want to see this as well? Because I can also just show this afterwards. Does everyone want to see this? Okay. So I can save this out from my materials window. Where is it? Yeah, so what I'm doing is I have it in here as a graphic. I just want to save it out to show what it looks like when it comes back in. So I'm going to export it into, I'll just import it from documents. Okay, so let me start a new SketchUp file. So file, import. You import it as an image. And this was here, right? Documents. Okay, so here it is, attached to my cursor. I'm going to bring it in any size. I don't know what the size is. So when I check this in my entity info window, it's an image. And like I said before, images are somewhat useless in SketchUp if you want to make any changes to it. So I right-click on the image and explode it. And while it's still selected, then I turn right around and make it into a group. So at this point, this is when I can scale it. So I open the group for editing, and the tape measure tool is what I use for scaling. And you see there's a little plus sign on the cursor. That's to create a guideline, which I don't need to do here. So I just tap my control key or option key if you're on the Mac. And then I always start with the largest dimension for the most accuracy, which is this 307.5, I think. So I'll click here to start the length, and then I'll click here to end it. And it's telling me it's measuring 92 feet. But I want to type in what it actually is. So I type 307.5, this is in inches. I press enter. Do you want to resize? I click yes. And since resize, I have to go zoom in now to find it, but here it is, it's the new size. And then I close the group and I'm ready to go. And always when I do this, I always use the second biggest dimension to check to make sure that it was okay. So 222 I can't do in my head what that is in feet and inches, but I just want to check here. It'll tell me in the tooltip this is 18'6", which I assume is right for 222 inches. I don't know why we're not using metric, but that's a whole other thing. Explode the image. Because SketchUp images you can't really do anything with them. You can't edit them. If you're just bringing in an image that you're just going to build off of, like to trace, that's fine if your image is at the correct size, but you can't resize it if it's an image. You can explode it and make it a group or a component, or you can just explode it and not make it a group or a component, and then resize it. But you can't do that with an image. Because that's not what they give me. But yes, in theory that would be great. Yes. Yes. And that's a whole other can of worms too, because sometimes when you import something from AutoCAD, everything is nice and neat in one layer, one group. Sometimes it's just a big mess of unconnected lines. But yes, it's much faster to do it that way, obviously. Yeah, so for some, this is the right size, and this is another reason to make this into a group, is I can draw right on it and I won't affect the group. If this were ungrouped, if I exploded this and I started, tracing here to make these walls, I'm not doing a very accurate job, but if I did this, and then I pulled out this, I'm sort of pulling up that actual image. And if I look down here, you can see there's a little hole down there. What you should do, I'm undoing all my lines, so make this a group. And now when I trace on it, it's not going to affect the image that is inside that group. So yeah, so I go, and I use the actual dimensions. I don't just trace by eye since the dimensions are on here. So you could say, why do you need that? Why do you need that image if you have the dimensions listed there? It's still nice to have just to make sure you're on the right track, and also my furniture layout is on here too. So then yes, you draw your lines. And then pull up by whatever ceiling height they give you, something like 8 feet. Oops. It's a new laptop, so I don't know where everything is yet. And then you go around and do the rest of the walls the same way. And then to block out windows, I usually use the tape measure tool to make guidelines. So if I know that there's a window that starts 3 feet from the edge of this wall, I have my plus sign on my cursor in the tape measure tool, and I'll just make a parallel line at 36 inches, and I'll use that, plus any other guidelines I need to start poking out holes for windows and doors. Not on this laptop. I had it on another laptop which died right before I came here, and I didn't transfer everything over. So, sorry. I wanted to show it, and then I realized like 5 minutes before I came down that I didn't have it. So sorry. Oh, sorry. So Profile Builder is a really good plugin for that. And my Insight Studio is right outside, and they have that. They have all these different profiles. You can use your own profile. They have a million standard ones, and it's sort of like, I think they call it the follow me tool on steroids. You don't have to. I think it's not as complicated as finding your path first and clicking and the whole thing. It's much more intuitive. So yeah. With molding, you mean? I think that plugin handles all that, yeah. That's sort of what it's for. It's really good. Who has? It's Mindsight Studios, which down there a little bit, I think. They're the one they do Placemaker as well, same company. So. Yeah. It is, and I'm not an expert at it. I use a different graphic design program, not Photoshop, but even in the other one, I'm not quite so good at it. I'm always just praying that they're going to give me a website where I have a really nice head-on view that's already cropped or just needs a little bit of cropping. There's a lot of material out there on YouTube. If you just look for SketchUp, Photoshop, seamless texture, there's a lot of people who have written about it. But it is kind of a can of worms. It's a complicated topic. But it's a really good skill to have. Yeah. Yeah, they're here as well. They're along this wall when you go outside. That's what I use just because I know it. There's a bunch of them out there. I think Podium is great, and it also, if you buy Podium, it also comes with Podium Browser, which is a list of, or it's a collection of standard furniture, textures, environments. Like you can put, if you have landscapes, you can put sky scenes in there. It's just kind of a one-click renderer, which I really like. In these two examples, I think I might have used Podium Browser for a couple things. I did them a few months ago, so I don't remember. But so, Podium Browser has great stuff, and there's SketchUp collections in the 3D warehouse, which are nice, generic, well-modeled. They don't have a lot of extra stuff that you'll find in a lot of 3D warehouse models. So for something like a couch, you're probably going to bring in something that's 72 inches and you need an 80-inch. So I just scale it, because basically no one's really going to notice. You know, it might distort the lens a little bit, but for interior design, they're not always looking for, unless it's a really unique piece, they're not really looking for every little detail of the feet and the pillows and stuff. They just kind of want to know basically what it looks like and how big it is, in most cases. Yeah. Yeah, so, does anyone else want to see this too? Pillows? Okay, yeah, I know this is something that drives people crazy, because otherwise I can show you after. So, pillows, I usually get something from the 3D warehouse, some generic pillow. You can also make them with some plugins. So you can bring in anything that's already painted and you can redo it. So say this one. I think this is so new I haven't agreed to the terms of service for the 3D warehouse yet. Okay, so here's my pillow. This is not the material that I want to use. To find the material that I want to use, I go to do an image search. I don't know, what's the place to go for? What did you say? Oh. Oh. Okay, learn something new. Okay, so say I want this pillow from Walmart. I will open it up. I'll save its, why did I do that? All right, well, how about this one? Well, I wanted to do one that had, I just want to save the image. Save picture as. All right, I'll call pillow. So I'm going to explode this, or I can edit it, but it's just easier sometimes to explode. And this must be a very complicated little model because it's taking a long time. Or there's just components inside components. So I have to explode it a million times. Okay, so you're talking about something like this where it has a million different triangles. So what I generally like to do is I make a rectangle or a square in blank space, and I apply that material that I saved to that rectangle. Oh, it might have been a bitmap, that's probably why I didn't save. Where did I put it? In downloads? In documents? Oh, I think it was in downloads, yeah. Pillow, okay. So I'll import it as a texture. And of course, if I wanted to make it bigger or smaller, I could go into texture positioning. I could, adjust the scale or whatever. But this looks like a pretty decent size. And I'll choose done. Now what I want to do is set this texture so that it's projected. So if I were, let me just go back. If this weren't projected, and I applied, I sample this material with an eyedropper, and I click here, this is what you're talking about, right? That jumbly mess. If I set this reference texture, I guess I would call it, if I set it as projected, that means it's going to be a vertical projection wherever I apply it. Use the eyedropper again, pick it up, and then paint the pillow with it. So it's not in the right spot. It is generally you have to do this when the dummy image is exactly above it. So it's actually, it's a little bit to the side, but that's how you do it. You have to use a projected texture. Yeah, so you could, No, projected, I think, is always vertical. So yeah, and that around the edges of the pillow too. This isn't a great example to show it, but around the edges you get some distortion. But generally with a pillow, you're far enough away that you don't want to see the distortion. Yeah, then it's a little bit different, yeah. Well, then you can go curved face by curved face. And I've had to do this a bunch. So if you have a model, let's say, I'll go to the work scene. Try to find a good example. I guess this chair, or maybe this one actually. So it's sort of not really perfect here around the edges. If I wanted to, and it would be better to see with a more bold pattern, I guess. This isn't a great example because it's repeating. But if I show the hidden edges, view hidden geometry, you can set, hold on a second, I have to get in the edit. It's not letting me edit this particular thing. Okay, so I can select each one of these separately, and I could adjust the texture position in every little segment, which is really annoying, but sometimes it's the only way to get it to work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As long as you're editing, so if you bring in a couch that's 80 feet tall or something, if you edit that component and you do your scaling within that component, then you'll just shrink the couch and nothing else, which is way better. Yeah. The renderings? So I render with Codium. It's not as realistic as something like Lumion. It's also not as expensive. And for interior design, if you're just working with individual clients, it's generally more than good enough. They're usually thrilled to see it. They're usually thrilled to see the SketchUp model because people are still used to seeing just 2D sketches and they have no idea what it's really going to look like. So even showing SketchUp sometimes elicits these like, ooh, it's so amazing. But when you export to something like Podium or Shader Light or trying to think of other examples, there's a bunch, I'm just blanking on all of them. It doesn't look like a photograph necessarily, but you get pretty accurate shadows, pretty accurate materials, and it's my go-to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do all my training. Mm-hmm. Either way. Yeah. Yeah, oh, I should have had it at the beginning. It's, sorry about that. It was not on my intro screen. I can't find it anymore. Anyway, it's 3dvinci.net, so it's 3 like the number 3. Where can I write it on here so you can see it? I'll create a new layer with my company name on it. www.3dvinci.net. Anybody else? So for entertainment design, generally they do have pretty specific, like I do work for this music festival and they want it, they want a certain, certain types of lenses from certain types of viewpoints. Interior design, they almost never care. It's just, use the default position camera, go from one corner to another corner, and that's almost always good enough. But you can change your field of view in the camera menu. Camera, field of view. Right, so for this particular, for my client Annie, once I create those 4 corner scenes and whatever head-on scenes and special scenes, then I do a rendering of each, and it really doesn't take long at all. Each one is a couple of minutes maybe, depending on the settings. And those are the renderings. Well, first I have to send her the SketchUp model itself, so she can say, well, this has to go here, this has to go here. So once that's finalized, then I render each scene, send her a series of JPEGs. She shares them with the client, and then when the client makes their changes, then I do a whole new set of rendered scenes. Okay, thank you everybody.